After discovering my long-term partner was cheating, we went through a quiet, painful unraveling. No big fights, no dramatic exits, just a slow, mutual acknowledgement that we were done. I still loved her, but trust was gone. Met her, 18F, at 19. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't love at first sight. It was easy. I was used to people who made me feel like I had to earn every ounce of affection. But with them, it felt natural, comfortable, like we'd known each other in a past life and finally remembered. We didn't start dating right away. We became friends first. Those kind of blurry, emotionally loaded friendships where you're texting all day and everyone around you keeps asking, "So are you two a thing or what?" Eventually, we were. We were broke, dumb, hopeful kids in love. We shared groceries, split rent, took turns covering bills when one of us was short. We joked about how we were just roommates with benefits who really liked cuddling. We moved cities. Together. Took the bus to work together. Had fights about dishes and Spotify playlists and who left the heat on. But nothing that didn't resolve over takeout and tired apologies. We weren't perfect, but we were partners. Or at least, that's what I thought. Year 4, she lost her job. They were devastated. Said they felt like a failure, like dead weight. I told them we'd figure it out, that we always did. So I took on more hours, picked up side gigs, stretched my own paycheck to cover everything. Told them not to stress. I didn't resent it, not then. But they never really bounced back, not professionally, not emotionally. And over time, temporary started to feel like forever. By year 5, our finances were basically merged. Not officially, but practically. I handled the bills. Their card was on my Uber Eats. They had access to my Netflix, my Amazon, my savings. We never talked about boundaries because we didn't think we needed to. In hindsight, that was the mistake. One night, a close friend pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I don't want to overstep. But do you ever feel like you're doing all the heavy lifting in this relationship?" I laughed it off, said, "We're just in a weird phase." Said, "They've had a rough year." Said everything except the truth. That the balance had shifted, and I was pretending not to notice. We stopped being romantic somewhere along the way. It wasn't one thing. No cheating, no huge fights, just a slow erosion of connection. Touch turned into habit. Dates turned into background noise, but they were still there, still next to me on the couch, still sharing memes, still laughing at my jokes. I told myself that was enough. Sometimes, it even felt like it was. They got a new job eventually. Nothing glamorous, but steady. And I remember thinking, okay, finally, we're going to reset now. They'll contribute again. We'll rebalance, but they didn't. They paid for things here and there, but I was still the default provider, still the emergency fund, still the safety net. I didn't know how to bring it up without sounding like I was keeping score, so I didn't. Around this time, I started making more friends through work, people who didn't know our shared history, people who treated me like a full person, not just a half of something. I started grabbing drinks after work, going to networking events, saying yes to invitations that didn't include them, and for the first time in a long time, I remembered what it felt like to be seen. I didn't cheat. Let's be clear about that. But I started pulling away, emotionally, mentally. I started dreaming of what it might be like to live alone, to wake up without someone else's weight in my bed, both literal and metaphorical. I felt guilty every time. I thought it. Guilty for wanting something different. Guilty for outgrowing someone who'd once been my everything. But I didn't leave, because I thought, they need me, and maybe I still needed them to need me. Looking back, everything seemed peaceful, no fights, no tension, just autopilot. We were coasting, functioning, laughing sometimes even, making plans, talking about maybe moving again. maybe even getting a dog, but under the surface something was starting to crack. I just didn't know it yet. Something shifted when she started her new job. It was a good thing, or at least that's how I framed it. She'd been stuck for a while, and this place seemed to energize her. She was excited again, talking fast, staying up late, finishing projects, smiling more. She said she felt like herself again. I didn't realize I was being written out of the script. We still shared space, same bed, same couch, same dinner table, but the feeling was off, not bad, just muted. We'd eat, scroll, our phones, ask each other about our days. But the answers were shorter now, more functional than personal. She used to ask follow-up questions. Now she just nodded. I started saving things for other people. We stopped fighting. That sounds like a good thing, but it wasn't. It meant we'd stopped trying to fix things, stopped poking at the discomfort, stopped even acknowledging it. We became polite, efficient, friendly. It felt like keeping up a shared property more than sharing a life. I started budgeting my emotions. Only share this much. Don't be too tired. Don't come home stressed. Don't ask for too much. I was afraid of pushing her away, but what I didn't realize at the time was that I wasn't pushing, I was chasing, and she was already backing up. Her phone became a permanent fixture. She'd scroll through messages with this soft smile, not big, but the kind that flickered, like she was somewhere else. Sometimes I'd ask what was so funny, and she'd just say, work stuff. I didn't push, didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid one, the insecure one. So I laughed with her, even when I wasn't in on the joke. I started staying at work longer, volunteering for late projects, spending more time in my car after getting groceries, just to listen to music and feel like someone else for 20 minutes. I didn't tell anyone how lonely I felt because I didn't have a reason to be. We weren't fighting. We weren't broken. We were just fading. She started bringing up a new name, casually, someone from work. A great collaborator, super smart, really creative, gets it, always in context, always small, but the way she said the name felt different. It didn't register as a red flag, not yet, just a weight in my stomach I couldn't place. Her tone changed when she talked to me, not cold, just distant, measured. She used to speak with warmth, familiarity, a rhythm that only comes from people who know each other inside and out. Now, she sounded like someone giving a podcast interview, polite, filtered, practiced. I kept thinking, she's just tired, but so was I, and I still looked for her. I started noticing how much she didn't tell me, events she mentioned after they happened. Conversations I found out about secondhand. New routines that didn't include me, new coffee spots, new podcasts, new habits. None of it sinister. All of it exclusionary. Like her life was branching off quietly, and she forgot to send me the forwarding address. One night we were watching some dumb reality show, and I turned to her, not with suspicion, just sadness. I almost asked, "Are you happy with me?" But I didn't, because I wasn't ready to hear the answer, because part of me already knew it, and because I still loved her, even if she had already started slipping away. It started with something small. We were out for dinner, and she mentioned a restaurant she'd been to a few weeks ago, but I remembered her saying she'd worked late that night. It wasn't an accusation, just a flicker of confusion. I said, "I thought that was the night you stayed late?" She blinked, said, "Oh, yeah, I guess I mixed it up." She smiled. Too quickly, too deliberately. The air felt thin. I wasn't planning to snoop, but one night, while she was in the shower, her iPad lit up on the counter. I glanced without thinking, then froze. It was a message preview. Last night was too short. No name, just that. I picked it up. The password was the same one she'd always used. The one we joked about back when we trusted each other. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. The messages weren't even hidden, not deleted, not encrypted, just there. Late-night chats, flirty jokes, complaints about work, confessions about how complicated everything feels. Sentences like, "He's a good guy, he just doesn't really see me anymore." And the one that still echoes, "I feel more like myself when I'm around you." I didn't confront her right away. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the floor, while she brushed her teeth like everything was fine. She kissed my shoulder before crawling in beside me, said, "Long day?" I said nothing. The silence between us had always been gentle. Now it felt like a blade. Every hour for the next 3 days, I changed my mind. Confront her. Don't. Leave. Stay. Destroy her life. Do nothing. I kept waiting for her to confess, to say something, to give me an opening, but she didn't. She was happy, affectionate even. Like she was finally at peace now that her secret was safe, and that pissed me off more than the cheating. One night I asked, "Do you think we're okay?" She looked caught off guard, said, "Yeah. I mean, we've had a weird year, but I think we're finding our rhythm again." She smiled, and I realized with a sick twist in my gut that she really believed that, because she was getting everything she needed from me and from him. I kept watching, not because I wanted to, because I needed to understand the shape of it. She never talked about me, just hinted, reframed, spoke like a version of herself I didn't recognize. She told him she wasn't ready to leave me. That it was complicated, that I was sweet but distant. Meanwhile, I was folding her laundry, making her coffee, being the wallpaper to her double life. One afternoon, she left her phone unlocked on the counter while she took a call in another room. It buzzed once, then again, then a third time. I didn't even open it. I just stared at the screen, heart pounding, and realized I know enough. More than enough. Too much. I didn't plan a speech. I didn't have a dramatic setup. I just sat across from her after dinner and said, "I know about him." She blinked, like she hadn't heard me right. Then the color drained from her face. She didn't deny it, didn't even ask how I knew, just whispered, "I didn't think you'd find out." I didn't scream. She didn't beg. We sat in silence for what felt like an hour. Then she said, "What now?" And I said the only thing I could. "I don't know, because I didn't." She broke something in me, but I still loved her. Still. Saw the version of us that once existed, flickering like a dying projector, and I didn't know if I wanted to burn it down or keep pretending the smoke wasn't choking me. The days after the confrontation were oddly calm. She didn't move. Out. I didn't make her. We floated through the same routines, barely speaking. She offered to answer questions, said she'd end it, said she didn't know why she let it go that far. I didn't ask for details, because I knew she'd lie. Not to me, but to herself, and I didn't have the energy to correct either one of us. When I told a few close friends, their reactions were mixed. Some were furious on my behalf. Others asked questions that hurt more than they helped. Were things already bad before it happened? Do you think she was looking for something you weren't giving her? None of it was cruel, but all of it felt like being asked to share the blame. I wasn't perfect, but I didn't deserve to be cheated on. Two things can be true. She cried a lot, quietly, not performative, real grief, but not for me. She cried because the illusion shattered, because I'd seen the version of her she tried to keep hidden, because she could no longer control how I looked at her, and when she cried, I didn't comfort her. That was new, and it scared both of us. She said she was sorry, over and over. "I never wanted to hurt you. I don't even know what I was thinking. It just got out of control." The words were all there, but the damage was already done. And forgiveness, I realized, doesn't grow in scorched soil. I nodded. That was it. She needed to say sorry. I didn't need to accept it. I stopped coming home early, started taking long walks, sitting in coffee shops alone, doing errands slowly just to breathe in space that didn't include her. I started using I again when I talked about the future, not we. She noticed, but didn't say anything, because deep down, we both knew it was already over. One afternoon, I came home and said, "I think we should end this." She didn't argue, just asked, "Do you still love me?" I said, "Yes, but I don't trust you." She nodded, tears in her eyes, but no protest. She knew love without trust is like a house with no foundation, looks solid until it sinks. She left first, took her books, her clothes, her art supplies, the couch stayed, the bed, the little things we bought together when we were still trying. I boxed them up quietly. Not out of anger, out of necessity, like you pack for a funeral. Not because you hate the person, but because they're gone. People asked if I was okay. I said, "Yeah," because it was easier than explaining the weird emptiness of mourning someone who's still alive. I missed her laugh, her presence, the ease we used to have, but I didn't miss the way I felt near the end. Small, unsure, invisible. And that difference is what saved me. She reached out a few weeks later, said she hoped I was doing okay, that she'd started therapy, that she didn't expect anything, but wanted me to know she was trying to be better. I said thank you, not because I believed her, but because it felt like the final page of a book I'd been trying to close. I don't hate her. I don't think she's evil. I think she was lost. I think I was too. I think we outgrew each other quietly, then tried to stay anyway, until it cracked under the weight of our denial. I still flinch when I think about how it ended. But I don't regret walking away, because sometimes healing isn't about happy endings. It's about choosing yourself when you finally realize no one else will.